Hello and a very warm welcome to the brand new edition of Policy Watch. I'm Kriti Mishra. In this edition, we'll take a closer look on the impact of budget provisions on the agriculture sector. Well, farmers seem to be the focus of the Modi government. Finance Minister Piyush Goyal announced that the government will provide assured income support to the farmers. According to the provision, 6,000 rupees per year will be given to farmers in 3 tranches. This would benefit 12 crore small and marginal farmers in the country. And to shed more light on the topic, I'm joined by Mr. S.K. Jindal, Chairman, Investment and Capital Markets, ASSOCHAM. Mr. B. Nagarjan, former consultant, World Bank. They're joining us in the studios. And I'm also joined by Mr. Ashok Dalwai, CEO, the National Rain-Fed Area Authority, Ministry of Agriculture, and Mr. Prem, Vashishtha, former Director, Agricultural Economics Research Centre. Welcome to Rajya Sabha Television, all of you. But before we commence the discussion, let's hear Prime Minister Modi and Finance Minister Piyush Goyal on interim budget and the agri sector.
प्रधानमंत्री किसान सम्मान निधि यानी जिसे पीएम किसान योजना कहा जा रहा है, उसका लाभ 12 करोड़ से ज्यादा उन किसानों को मिलेगा जिनके पास 5 एकड़ से या 5 एकड़ से कम भूमि है। एक प्रकार से आजादी के बाद देश के इतिहास में किसानों के लिए बनी ये सबसे बड़ी योजना है। हमारी सरकार किसानों के लिए एक के बाद एक ठोस कदम उठा रही है। पशुपालन, गौ संवर्धन, मछली पालन जैसे ग्रामीण जीवन और कृषि जीवन से जुड़े अहम क्षेत्रों का भी इस बजट में विशेष ध्यान रखा गया है। राष्ट्रीय कामधेनु आयोग और मछली पालन का अलग डिपार्टमेंट करोड़ों किसानों को अपनी आजीविका बढ़ाने में मदद करेगा, मछुआरों की मदद करेगा। हमारा ये पूरा प्रयास है कि किसान को सशक्त करके उसे वो साधन दें, संसाधन दें जिससे वो अपनी आय दोगुनी कर सके।
प्रधानमंत्री किसान सम्मान निधि पीएम किसान नाम की एक ऐतिहासिक योजना इस सरकार ने मंजूरी की है। पीएम किसान इस योजना के तहत जो वल्नरेबल किसान हैं, जो छोटी जमीन रखते हैं, 2 हेक्टेयर तक की जिनकी जमीन है, 2 हेक्टेयर तक की जमीन को, उन सभी को सीधा उनके इनकम में सपोर्ट, डायरेक्ट इनकम सपोर्ट 6,000 रुपए प्रति वर्ष के हिसाब से देने का निर्णय सरकार ने किया है।
All right, so that was Prime Minister and Finance Minister. Mr. Dalwai, coming to you first. Of course, we'll get into the specifics of the budget in just a bit, but give us an overview on the budget provisions for the agriculture sector.
Yeah, thank you so much for giving this opportunity. I would like you to look at this as a continuation of the policy reforms that have been introduced by this government over the last 3 years. The government is committed to transforming agriculture and transcending from agriculture growth purely to farmers' welfare. So towards this, we have made fundamental changes to agriculture, and the biggest challenge that was experienced and was recognized was that we need to monetize the farmers' produce. Production is no more a problem. In fact, India now records the historical highs in various commodities, and it produces as high as 1.3 billion tons of different agriculture commodities. But what has happened is, thanks to subdued global prices, as also the inflation management, the farmers to a large extent have suffered from the opportunity for monetizing their produce appropriately. So therefore, in the last 3 years, the focus has been on monetization, which includes strengthening agri-logistics, it includes processing upgradation, and of course bringing in marketing efficiency. So all the programs that have been designed, including crowding in the investments both from public sector and private sector, has been the goal. So this year's particular budget allocation now is a continuation of that. As we take some time to transform agriculture and improve the incomes of the farmers as targeted by 2022, we should also be able to give support, and therefore the main announcement today of giving an assured supplementary income support to the farmer by way of rupees 6,000 split into 3 installments of 3, that is 2,000 rupees for each of the 3 seasons of the country, is a welcome step. And this would not only just add to their income in a supplementary manner, but it would also help them to buy inputs prior to their respective 3 seasons. And in addition to this, since welfare is the main goal, the other schemes that are already made available, let's take for example the mega pension scheme. Now that is open to all the unorganized sector. The agriculture workers, who are a substantive number, in fact there are as many as 14 crore number of agricultural landless labor. Now they will also stand to benefit from this particular mega pension scheme if they are going to make a small contribution of 55 rupees at the age of 18 or 100 rupees at the age of 29. But apart from this, I think the diversification of agriculture into animal husbandry, into dairy, poultry, meat sector, as also fisheries, I think is a very progressive step forward. And
well, absolutely, Mr. Dalwai, absolutely. So the focus, of course, has been on farmers' welfare. But coming to you, Mr. Vashishtha, now, and the main highlight, of course, is the income support to the farmers. Take us through the contours of PM Kisan Yojana.
Yeah, I welcome this support, and as Dr. Dalwai mentioned that this would help them to buy, inputs and also reduce their vulnerability. I have only one reservation, that I wouldn't mind, say, raising from 6,000 to 10,000, but it should accompanied by some kind of reform, say withdrawal some of these subsidies. That's one thing that, as a professional economist, I was looking forward to some kind of announcement on the reform measures. So that's one shortcoming I see, but I do very much welcome this kind of income transfer. The other thing is, like, the cow protection kind of thing. Those who will rear cows also get interest, concession of 2%. That's a welcome stage. But one challenge remains: raising the yield of fertility of cows. It needs a very significant genetic improvement. Like Brazil has been able to do it, but we haven't made any breakthrough, or rather major breakthrough in genetic improvement of our cows. So that's a major challenge to scientists. That's yet to be seen, and any kind of support should be most welcome.
Well, absolutely, I'll take that.
The related thing to
Mr.
raising the yield of cow,
yes, sir,
is the quality of fodder. Quality of fodder is,
yes, sir.
Quality of fodder. That's a major challenge, and growing fodder by the farmer is also, raises an economic issue, relative profitability of crops. So these are some of the issues that have to be sorted out.
Right, sir. So production and productivity is important. Coming to you, Mr. Nagarjan, and of course talking about income support scheme to the farmers. Tell me, how important is it to ensure that there's effective implementation and of course seamless implementation, because the money would be transferred directly to the bank accounts of the farmers?
Yes. First of all, we should understand where this actually fits into the whole puzzle of intervention for farmers by this government. Okay, so the government has helped the farmers in seeds, in urea, in getting cheap loans, insurance products, interest subvention, and if you take infrastructure, roads, power, so on and so forth, and now comes the income support. So it's kind of a basket of services that are actually offered by the government, both from the input side and the output side. So it's kind of a comprehensive package. That is something we should understand first. Second is, what the government is trying to do is, it's actually putting the money in the pockets of farmers and rural consumers. Okay, it's trusting them and actually hoping them that they will actually do whatever it's good for them. So in fact, like you would see, like if you look at the stock market today, the agri and fertilizer stocks and FMCG stocks, they actually went up. So that's one of the things that drove the Sensex today. So in fact, like even if you look beyond agriculture, even if you look at the middle class interventions for the middle class, it is actually like putting more money in the hands of people. So that has been the theme of this budget. A couple of quick interesting things is how, like especially for behavioral economists, how, like the government has tried to incentivize people into doing good things or like better behavior. So first is the interest subvention. So the previous government actually talked about loan waivers, okay, which is actually bad, fiscally ruinous. But this government says if you actually pay the loan on time, then we actually give you an interest subvention of 3%. Okay, so like that's a positive behavior change. Second is in terms of providing 6,000 rupees. Even there, like they called it the Samman Nidhi. Okay, it's not a dole, but it's actually something that provides dignity to the farmers. So this is much better than actually the MSP intervention, because if you have an MSP intervention, the farmer actually decides what to produce based on the MSP. Okay, so income, if you have an intervention on the income side, the farmer will actually produce whatever it's demanded by the market or whatever he or she feels fit. So that is something very interesting. So so these are the things that actually have to be kept in mind, and I think like a lot of thought has been that has gone into it. Usually, like when people say, like during elections or just before the elections, budgets are populist. Okay, but this is actually a very responsible populist budget than a reckless populist budget. So the fiscal deficit is under control. It's at 3.4%. Industry experts were expecting around 3.8%, but they have not gone that way. And the unsaid thing, okay, the unsaid thing is the control of price rise. We never talk about it because its price is not rising, right? So actually, like it's one of the unsaid successes of the last 5 years.
Absolutely. So you mentioned about fiscal deficit, and I'll take that to Mr. Jindal. 75,000 crore rupees for this income support scheme for the farmers. The central government is going to provide that money. The government has said that it is committed to maintaining fiscal discipline. Do you think that the government has paced on the path of fiscal prudence?
Yes, I think so. You see, had they not been providing this 75,000 crore, then fiscal deficit would have been 3.2 or something, not 3.4. So they have taken that extra step, had agreed to go up to 3.4, but this money is coming in the use of these 12 crore farmer families, which will make them stronger. All our earlier 5 budgets also by this government were dedicated to farmers, and rightly so. I subscribe to it because they need it. The budget is for the poor people, first for the poor people of the nation and then for others. So they are getting their right in a right way, and first we should be focusing on their needs, and that is what is happening here. This will bring very good results because when we make them stronger, they will make the country stronger, economy stronger. All this money they will be spending for their welfare. So this will come back into the economy. They will use it for the production of their farming activities. So again, that will support the farming activities. So nothing is going to go waste. They don't have the possibility of wasting this money, and we should not be looking at that this money can go wrong. Like he rightly said, waiving loans is something really very bad, which is not in the interest of anybody. But this is something, a true help, and done in a very thoughtful manner, 3 tranches, it will be rightfully used, and I see good results coming from this in the years to come. And all other earlier 5 budgets also were focused for farmers. So this is the 6th step they have taken in the same direction, and now the bouquet is becoming more and more complete for them, that support from all sides, so that they can come up from their difficulties. There are so many calamities they have to face, and they are not so strong to face them. So in the process they get collapsed also. That should not happen. Interest subvention is very good thing.
Right.
Loan waiver is not good. Interest subvention is good, that you are giving them interest free or at a lesser interest. Then interest discipline, as you rightly mentioned. They are very good policies, and they are sustainable for the long run. Their interest waiver is not sustainable for a long time, but this is sustainable.
Absolutely. So you made a very pertinent point that the first right and the resource of this country is of the poor.
Yes.
Now, Mr. Dalwai, coming to you and talking about another major highlight, and that is of interest subvention to the farmers facing vagaries of nature and natural calamities. Certainly a very important step to alleviate farm distress.
Yeah. One is that this production loans for the farmers, whatever enterprise they are practicing, is very necessary because they need to access institutional credit and they need to be weaned away from the money lenders. Now, what this particular budget has done is to expand the scope of this institutional credit. First thing is, the farmers who are growing crops will continue to get 2% basic interest subvention and also a 3% additional benefit if they are going to make a prompt repayment. Now, what was limited to the crop growers now goes beyond that, and all the farmers who practice animal husbandry, including dairy and poultry, as also the fish farmers, are now going to get the KCC assisted credit for their production at the same level as the crop growers. So that means the entire farming community that comprises nearly 13.5 crore farmers in the country are going to benefit from it. The second more important one is that we had the restructuring loan facility in case of natural calamities. But unfortunately, so far, the restructured loan would entitle the farmers to only 2% of basic interest subvention. They never got the prompt repayment or facility. So now what this budget does is it extends both basic interest subvention of 2% combined with 3% of prompt repayment for all crop loans, as also for animal husbandry and fishery sector. And it is further extended to say that this restructured loan is now not circumscribed by just 1 year, but it shall be in correspondence with the total number of years for which this restructuring happens. Let's say, for example, the restructuring happens for 3 years. That means for all the 3 years, the farmers are going to now benefit from both 2% basic interest subvention as also the prompt repayment. To that extent, the investment, which is very much necessary in the production in all the seasons of the year, will now be available to the farmers, and we can see that they will be weaned away from the money lenders. To that extent, this is another progressive step of improving the net returns of the farmers. If they continue to depend upon the private money lenders, they would have to pay very heavily. The interest rates are extremely usurious, and so this is a very progressive step.
Absolutely, it's a very progressive step, and I'll take that to Mr. Vashishtha. Mr. Vashishtha, India globally is the second largest producer of fish. Finally, Department for Fisheries would be set up. A long-standing demand would finally be met. Your comments?
Yes, I think that's a very, very positive step for more than one reason. One, that fishery growth, is very substantial, significant to help increase farmers' income and also diversify the income sources from within the agriculture sector. Secondly, you see, those who are currently engaged in fisheries are also vulnerable, vulnerable a lot. So this is a considerable encouragement to them in terms of interest concession also. What needs to be seen is, one, that you have a necessary infrastructure so that the product which is perishable doesn't go waste. You need particular processes for that, for packaging, for maintaining a particular temperature, for marketing. Now, if these supplementary steps are taken, which are rather complementary, I must say, then it takes a long way to increase farmers' income.
Absolutely, sir. So complementary steps should be taken. And I'll just give a last word to my guests in the studios here. How would these steps ensure doubling of farmers' income by the year 2022? Mr. Jindal, first you and then you. Yes, sir.
I find that all these policies are very well formed, very thoughtfully formed, and very holistic approach I see in them. If you look at the whole thing, it's a very good bouquet of support to the farmers and the farming industry, and I think it will bring very good results in the future, in the years to come, and it's very sustainable, it's very doable. It doesn't sound that it is something which is good for moments only and not long term.
So there's a holistic approach. Last
Holistic
30
approach.
seconds to you, Mr. Nagarajan.
So actually, like, what they have tried to do is like de-risk agriculture as much as possible. Okay, with all these schemes. Also, there's a health insurance scheme. There's the AVA scheme that also helps farmers. Okay, so we have to look at that in totality.
Right.
So combined with this, and if there are more structural reforms with the infusion of technology and access to market, I think we can actually look at a booming agriculture, agribusiness sector in India in the next decade.
All right. So on that positive note, thank you so much for joining us. And India is poised to become a $5 trillion economy in the next 5 years. And for that, welfare of farmers is of paramount importance. That's all I had for you in this edition. Thanks for watching and stay tuned to Rajya Sabha Television.